Thank you everyone for coming today. Economic Committee meeting on the agenda. We are going to continue the discussion of the CRA for the proposed structure, financing, and all that at the former Quality Inn site. So today, information, just as much information as we can get, just to kind of get everything on the table. I would like it to, we be done by 6:30, 6:40, just get all the information we can, then we can kind of process it, if there's any other questions that come out, and then maybe schedule another follow-up meeting in about 2 weeks to kind of have our final say once we've had all our questions asked. Anyone else from public resident-wise has had an opportunity to contact us as well.
Okay. If anybody else wants to start, feel free to say whatever. I was thinking about doing two things.
Okay.
So one was to make sure that everybody's on the same page with sort of the structure. So we have the CRA and also the TIF.
Yes.
They kind of dovetail together, and I was going to explain to the extent I can, to the extent we haven't before, just how that works, for lack of a better description. And then after that, just sort of give a little more detail on where we are in the process and what actually has to happen. So, like you said, this is informational.
Yeah.
There's more formal approvals, but I just want to let you know that there is a process, and so there are a couple steps that we need to take in between now and then that are
Great.
There's no way around them.
Yeah.
Even if you wanted to. So, anybody else want to talk about anything before I just kind of go into that, and we can just.
I'm just a Norwood person.
Sure.
Alone, and I just wanted to say that I'm in favor of this. I love this. I appreciate this committee. I appreciate the development. Long time coming, instead of always bitching.
We'll try to find something to bitch about.
Yes.
I'm not gonna stick for that.
Yes.
But it's just good to see this change happening, and I know it's not easy, and good local company, I mean, all good stuff on that side too, but
Appreciate it.
it takes a lot of guts and work from your side, as the people of Norwood controlling interests.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Can I get your name, sir?
My name's Mike Weigel.
Okay.
I'm at 2016 Mills. I've been here since '88, owning property, and
Can I say something?
I'm on the other side of that.
Thanks. Just real quick, I'll let you go.
Take
So
your time.
we hear a lot of negative here, so I just appreciate you coming out and saying that and being positive. I really appreciate that, Mr. Waddle. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, and that's why I did come, because too many people will have some problem with some little bit of it and overall.
Thank you.
So with that, I'm gonna leave if that's not offensive.
No, not at
More
all.
of these details.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good night.
Yeah, so it seems like most people are on board generally with redeveloping that lot, so, this is a little more nuts and bolts. But so, the memo, I don't know if you've all had a chance to read it. I tried to give more of an overview and then some of the detail. I don't know, who all was gonna be reading that, so whichever level you feel most comfortable, feel free to ask me some questions. But, the two components of this are the CRA, the Community Reinvestment Area exemption, and then the TIF. So just on a high level, a CRA is a way to exempt a property from tax. A TIF is a way to basically divert those tax payments and use it to pay for public infrastructure improvements or to compensate schools. And so what we're doing here is that during the first 15 years, during the full 30 years, there will be a TIF. But the service payments that are due under the TIF, which are the diverted payments, those will be exempted by the CRA. So the net effect will be basically a tax exemption for the first 15 years. The last 15 years, years 16 through 30, there will be funds available, but it is expected that the majority of those will go to pay the schools, because they're the ones that are going to be, they're the most dependent upon property taxes, and they won't be getting those payments during the first 15 years. They'll get some because of a nuance with the way the TIF and the CRA works that's in here. And I can go into that if you'd like. But like I said, net effect, most taxes are exempted during years 1 through 15, years 16 through 13. They will be paying the full amount, but those will go to repay the schools to the extent that they have not received payments due to the exemption, due to the TIF. So that's kind of the structure that we're putting in place. And so do you guys have any questions about that, or is that generally pretty clear? Okay. So now the process and where we are in this and sort of why we're here. So I think that I defer to Mike and Noah, but generally speaking, we're just going through the process at the city to make sure that the proper committees, proper individuals, departments are on board with this, and then at some point when we can, we'll have, full council will vote on two things. That'll be the CRA and the TIF. So for the CRA and the TIF, the basic timeline is this. We send a notice to the school district. It's a 45 business day notice, but we're hoping that they'll waive that, so it'll be a little shorter. But point being, we have to send notice to the school district. That notice to the school district will be a notice of the TIF and a notice of the CRA. This is similar to what happened with Factory 52. It'll be a notice of the CRA and the TIF, but with the notice of the CRA, we have to include a copy of the CRA agreement. And so we've been working with the developer to put together the CRA agreement. I think that the financial terms of it, again, are pretty straightforward. It'll exempt the property or the incremental value of the improvements to the property for those, years 1 to 15. But we've put some stuff in here just to have a standard. We've included a standard that it'd be similar to University Station or to another PLK project in Eastgate called Echelon, or Rookwood Exchange and Rookwood Commons. And so because there aren't initial plans right now that we can look at and say, okay, we generally are on board with the standard, what we've said is that we'll sign this agreement, but once they have those plans, we will, before they start construction, we'll confirm that that the plans meet that general standard, being similar to those projects. We just don't have a lot of other detail at this point. But back to the process, sorry. We'll send notice to the school district of that structure that I described. The school district will approve it, and only after they approve it will we come back to the full council to approve the TIF and the CRA. So that's the point. We'll have time to go through this again with the full council as well. But that's kind of the little long-winded description of the process, but that's really it. So after that final approval, then we do some administrative stuff to put the TIF in place, we would sign the CRA agreement, then after that they can begin construction. It might be a little longer after that since they don't have the design yet, but they are working on it right now.
And we'll wait to vote on it once all plans have been received and.
No, what we're going to do is before that, we'll agree to the CRA.
Mm-hmm.
That, and this is pretty typical of the CRA, but let me go back one step. They're basically zoned and everything to do this right now, so some of that control is not there that you have in some cases. But we just, again, put the standard in here that it's about the same, Class A, whatever that means. Same with University Station, Brookwood, and this Echelon project.
Mm-hmm.
So after they have the plans, as we proposed it, is that Noah and Mike would look at it and basically say, hey, this is, meets that standard. They would build it, and then at that point, the housing officer of the city would confirm that it's been built in accordance with those plans and been approved, then they would be eligible to get their exemption.
Are we ready yet to kind of talk, I saw they're requesting still a range of 75 to 100% for the CRA? Is that still? Or
It's 100% is what they're
100%?
asking for, yeah.
Okay. Do we have kind of the numbers on that of this is what the property value will be when they're done, kind of just looking at?
We have no property.
I do not. I don't even know if have we gone through that?
Yeah, we do. I can send those to the group.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was just, some of the CRAs, again, new to this, but that was just kind of helpful of like, this is the current property value, this is what the property value is going to be once they're done.
Oh, yeah.
This is what Norwood will eventually, capitalize on.
Yeah.
But they need, this time frame too.
Yeah, and so and some of this too, just so as a general matter for cities of this nature, so a lot of times with cities, almost all times, the cities get a pretty small amount of property tax.
Yeah.
And so, not that it's something you should just blow off and give away like candy everywhere, but, I think with Norwood here, and I defer to you all and the city as far as the policy reasons behind this, but obviously
Yeah.
I think there's a big push because the property is
Yes,
producing nothing right now, and then I would say it's even, has, besides the low amount of property taxes that have been generated, it's not favorable.
yeah, yeah.
But
No,
they-
I just, yeah, I'd love to have that, cause we're, you know what comes out of the woodwork, so just saying,
Sure.
this, this is where we are, this is where we will be,
Oh, yeah,
just so
sure.
we can kind of
And we have those numbers.
have
and-
that to
and-
say, this is why we're doing this, like, this is the agreement we've made because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and there's some other stuff, I don't wanna sit and advocate for the developer. either.
Yeah.
And they'll be there to do it, but they have been, I think, pretty open, and they have, it's not surprising, but there, of course, are some, there's some environmental problems there, and some other stuff that
Yeah.
they're saying it's cost to go up, so that's sort of, and they also, I assume, not just assume, they will be available when the whole council is looking at this again to give the final approval on it. So they'll be there at that time to answer any questions anybody has, I think, about the project, and they've always been willing to come and, answer any questions or provide any status updates or project updates or whatever, so they're still, working through their design plans and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, but Andy, he's the numbers man, in the finance side, so.
Thank you.
But I guess if you want, we could probably give some, like, even my understanding, like the high level figures, like we know what the properties was sold for around 1.3, with closing costs 1.6. Demolition, environmental mitigation, engineering, that's gonna be at least 2.5. And then, because of the type of quality project we're looking at, a range between, $32 to $38 million. So those are the kind of the known things. And then it's a matter of just, modeling, okay, how many units will fit? What sort of elevated parking garage? And that's where, the flexibility comes in sometimes with the range. But, definitely the hard facts, not speaking for the developer, but they probably didn't anticipate to pay 1.3 for it. And at the time they bought it, they didn't expect, to be as much as 2.5 million for, demolition and mitigation. I think that would be honest to at least say it was a lot of costs.
Yeah, it was a laundry or something there, which I wouldn't have thought of. I guess there's some chemical that gets into the ground. It's a big problem.
Yeah, and again, like,
Yeah.
if, Nick's the best person, but I would suspect PLK probably didn't have a full pro forma when they bought this thing.
Oh, yeah, they did. And as
Yeah.
far as the cost, that is, we've given a decent amount of flexibility here of what the design's gonna be.
Yeah.
Just because they're not where they need to
Yeah.
be to commit to things. But we did, we were gonna say about 30-something million, but we did,
Yeah.
at least currently, we said it's a hard
Yeah.
minimum of $32.5 million investment in it.
Yeah.
So if they didn't meet that, they wouldn't qualify for their CRA.
Yeah, and I was using it more like they didn't have the performance in the sense that it was probably a matter of good faith, saying, hey, we have a relationship with the city, and we're hopeful that the city will be good for, tax abatement. So another company would have done their numbers and say, sorry, we're walking, there's other opportunities in the region.
Do we know if they got any, outside assistance with the abatements or anything like that?
Outside assistance in the.
Like
form-
a grant, I mean, yeah.
It's a good
state
question.
or-
I'm curious of that.
I
Yeah.
don't think that they
Yeah, I
did,
don't
when
believe
I,
they did.
when
Yeah.
I was talking to Nick about it. I
Okay.
Because that's the
think
word, yeah, that's a good question, because someone asked me that, would you know that, they got a grant, and I'm like, that's the first I heard of that, so that's a great question.
Yeah, just
And I
wondering
don't
if
think
it
they have-
is 100% out of their
I
pocket.
don't
or-
believe that they did. When I talked to Nick about it, in order to get the grant, the things that they would have to do would have been more expensive for them
Yeah.
to do it than
That was
it
the
would have.
conversation I had with him.
So,
Okay.
So, just to clarify, if I may, they still pay their taxes. They're just not paying above and beyond what it's gonna be worth after they still pay their taxes, right? When taxes due on the property, they still pay, right?
They wouldn't pay on the increase in the value.
They wouldn't pay on the increase of the value,
Right.
exactly. So they're still paying their property taxes year to year, they're still being current, but when they develop that property, it's gonna be worth this much, and they're gonna stay at here, so
Yeah.
that's basically the way this works. So they're still paying the
15
property, no
Yeah.
one's getting a free pass here, and they're the ones taking all the risk.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's.
Yeah, so they'll pay, I mean, whatever they're paying now, we'll pay, but it's pretty minimal.
Right.
But yeah, but then the first 15 years, they won't pay what they would have otherwise paid for the increase in value on the improvements.
So you say pretty minimal, do you have something in mind? Just, not that it's any, I mean.
What's it
I
like?
think we were at 49% of what their taxes would have been for the first 15 years.
No, he's just saying right now, what do they pay? Is that what you're
Oh,
saying?
what do they pay right
Basically,
now?
yeah, do you have a
Yeah.
number, any, I mean, you don't have to give me an exact, do we have
I'm gonna say
about?
I'm gonna say the
Dollar sign.
property's worth like 800,000.
Right now, it's about $9,000 a year.
Wow.
So they'll keep paying that 9,000.
It tells you what state the property's in.
But it'll,
Right, exactly.
but so instead of paying on the property taxes on a $30 million building, whatever that would be, they're not gonna pay that for 15 years. And then in the years after that, they'll pay whatever they would have paid.
First
But that-
15 years, about 441,000-ish, and then it jumps to 865.
Is 865 is what they'll pay in those later years?
Yeah,
Wait, I'm sorry, can you say those again?
441 to 865. So
Four-
441 the first 15 years, and it jumps to 865 at years 16 to 30.
I'm sorry, where's the comma?
441,000.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, so they'll pay the 441, what's that on?
Is that from year
They're
from
not
1 to
taking the full
15?
abatement. They were taking the parcel abatement and taking the TIF. I mean, they're paying TIF, but they're using it to self-finance the project.
Oh. I thought they were just doing a CRA in the first 15 years.
No, that wasn't the deal that was struck with the school.
So in the first 15 years, what's gonna happen then?
First 15 years, the last numbers we ran, which is back in August, was a 49% CRA. That's what the school district agreed to.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. We'll need to confirm that again with the school district, but that was the last set of numbers we have.
Help me out here.
Okay, because,
So you, when I asked you for a number for, you know, what they're paying now, we came up with what, 9,000? Did we say 9,000?
9,000.
yeah.
So,
Right now, they're paying $9,192.
okay, so, but you just said from year 1 to 15, we're talking, it's 414?
441,000.
Okay,
At a 49%, but
But I'm pretty sure that they're just getting the straight up exemption. Maybe they're using that money
To
that
compensate.
they would have
pay.
paid to pay their own loan. But I'm pretty sure that the school said, we're okay not getting the money
the first 15 years.
the first few years, and the city, and nobody would get money during that time. And the later years, they would get, all the TIF would be payable, but it's gonna go to the schools to the extent that they had, been, exempt, to the extent they had not been paid.
Yeah.
They'll keep getting money until they're made whole, if they ever are.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's the case, because Andrew's looked at this a few times, this 100% exemption. The net effect would be the same, but the idea is that in those first 15 years, they're not gonna be paying taxes.
Then after year 30 is when it kicks in for the city as well.
After year 30, it goes back to normal.
To normal.
They'll pay all their regular taxes, you'll get your share, the county, the school district, Trumbull Vocational School District, everybody else will go back to being normal. But the point I was gonna make is that, it's not uncommon for cities, I mean, the schools are the major thing.
Yeah.
As far as the money that is foregone. But cities get the benefit of having more residents' income tax, and so that usually would outweigh a relatively small amount of tax that would have come to you through the property tax. Not that it's, you don't wanna get as much money in taxes as you can.
basically
always,
common
but-
practice, we're gonna get it anyway.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear it anyway,
Yeah.
how terrible the deal is, and we're gonna hear that anyway,
Oh, yeah.
but it's common.
Yeah, you might, I mean, I would say, not that I hear everything, but it's, it's hard to argue when something has been there for that long and nothing has happened, that you could just let the market handle it when it hasn't handled it. And
Exactly.
especially right now when across the board, costs are so high and things are,
And we can have something nice there. We can be in charge of what it's gonna be. Well,
yeah, I mean,
because somebody else could have purchased it and they could have put a,
you put a gas station in there, right?
Yeah, well-
I don't know what the zoning
Right.
would dictate, but yeah, I mean, I think that they've demonstrated that
they're gonna put a quality product there.
they're investing in the community, they're not, they have some benefit, other distance projects. So, anyway, but again, that's better said by them and their lawyers, not me. I don't wanna
Yeah.
advocate for them, but,
Okay. Anything else or thoughts or?
no, like I said, the next step is to get, the notice to the schools.
Okay,
We'll confirm, there will be an agreement with the schools that'll document the fact that they get, the money when they get it, but this will all come back again.
okay.
And
So
even
we'll-
then, so I'm sorry.
We'll hold off till we hear back from the school district?
Yeah, so they have to, just under the rules, they have to actually, their
Yeah.
board will have to pass a resolution, and then,
Since over the 49,
Yep. Mhm.
okay.
And then, even when we come back, I don't know what the timing necessarily is, but, you could even have multiple readings if that's how it should go, so we can have this discussion
Yeah.
fully with everybody once it's nailed down.
Mike or, I'm sorry, Mr. Skelly or Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Anything?
No, like, the only thing they say, I can speak for the developer, so, when they made the initial application, it was on August 24th, and again, at the prior council meeting, again, Nick was there, he definitely was anxious to see things moving along, because like, he's accruing costs for the site right now, so he just wants to get closer to the formalization of the insurance and stuff we have for the tax abatement, so.
Understandable.
But
Yeah. Okay.
I
really
want to
appreciate-
apologize, Pat's right, we ran like 3 different scenarios on the last day, and that's the one that they got, so.
Yeah, and we were looking, at the beginning of it, it was sort of very fast of like,
Yeah.
what should we do?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
so what
was-
you're gonna see from us is, it's gonna be fully abated for the incremental, the vertical, the value increase.
Mm-hmm,
Whatever lane comes in, which isn't gonna be much, but, so you'll see on the side, calculation of what the benefit is from the taxes, which is that exemption. The difference with PL, with the playing card site, was that actually they did a bond financing with that, and they thought that was too expensive, so they said, hey, just give us the cash flow, we'll self-finance this ourselves to take care of whatever costs there are. So,
Yeah, so they're paying for their, obviously, the parking garages, whatever, and all that stuff, whereas we use some TIF.
no bond being issued, right?
Yeah, so there's no other, yeah.
So your 1630, the school gets all the money
Yeah.
to try to get them reimbursed.
Mhm. So when are they hoping this will be before council?
I'm sure they want to do it as soon as possible. The partial reason why is that for CRAs, and I don't, well, there's some wiggle room there, but basically for a CRA, you can't do any vertical construction until you have your agreement signed. So, I don't think they're trying to do vertical construction tomorrow or anything, but I think that was discussed, they're more putting money into this, and they're all sort of based on this general agreement that this will work, especially by the schools, and by the city. So I think they just want to get it nailed down, because they're doing plans, and they're going out and they're working with, trying to get some things worked out with Frisch's and other things that they need to work on with the city. So they just want to, you know how things go, things change, and attitudes change, and boards makeup change, and councils change, so they just want some, I think, solid ground to stand on to keep moving forward.
We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
How close they are getting freshes.
Or at least
Am I
that.
not gonna be the one to say it?
That easement in front of
The
it.
easement, thank
Well,
you.
that they're trying
Yeah.
to work on that.
That would be amazing.
And I think these guys have been that is the one other thing in here besides the general standard of it, is that if they can get rid of that easement, that the property has to go up to the street so that there's not, a lot of that there. So that's the other, I think, really important thing for the aesthetic of it and stuff.
Yeah.
But-
I'm excited.
But they're working on it. So,
It would go that way and that way.
So, so
And that way, and that way.
like I said, we'll be back with more detail. So,
Okay.
and in the meantime, like I said, that memo, I
That's
think,
good, yeah.
send any questions. You guys know where to find me, and they know the answers to
We will.
something too. So,
Okay,
whatever we can do.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming
Yeah.
out.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
anytime.
making it.
Sure.
Right.
All right.
Well done.
Great
Thank
job.
you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I hope the